Cool, man. Ow! See, now I can strap my cell phone onto the visor here. Is that good? I don't know. I can't. I don't have a monitor. Blonde roast from Starbucks. It's pretty good. I don't know. Maybe it's in my mind, you know. Maybe it's just all in my mind, but I've had some bad coffee at Starbucks. But this blonde roast is pretty good. So, you know, I was thinking about this thing about the minimum wage. You know, I've been a fan of raising the minimum wage for a long time now. And see if I can run over somebody. When I was a kid, you know, a cup of coffee like this is a dime. I just paid $1.75 for it, so that means it's gone up 17.5 times. I don't know how many people out there watching this remember when coffee was a dime. A cup of coffee was a dime. You can get refills too, I guess. You don't even get a refill with this. But, you know, Starbucks is kind of an exception. I can go to McDonald's, which is right over here. I can go to McDonald's and get the senior coffee for 65 cents. So there's a spread that we didn't have when we were younger. The spread of price. But this is kind of what I call the Gumball Index. When I was a little kid, I'd ride my bike down to the corner store. And ride my bike down to the corner store and buy and you know, take a handful of change with me, if that, maybe a quarter. I mean, I could go down to the little store, and this would be maybe back in the 60s, 1960s. Go to the corner store and get a gumball for a penny. Pepperoni stick, 10 cents. Candy bar, a nickel. Okay? Bottle of pop, the dime. Then it kind of went, I seem to remember it going up. It went up in price, you know, to 12 cents. And then there'd be like 2 cent, that would include the 2 cent deposit on the bottle, right? You could get a hamburger for 11 cents. 11-cent hamburger. So you can see where I'm going with this. The minimum wage at the time was only $1.65. But back then, $1.65 could buy you 10 hamburgers. You know, right? 16 hamburgers. The hamburger was a dime. So what I've seen is, I remember when I saw gasoline for 17.9 cents a gallon once. 17.9 cents a gallon, and the average prices, I seem to remember, kind of went steadily up, like everything else. Was 22 cents, 23 cents a gallon. You know, I remember seeing 32 cents a gallon. 32 cents a gallon? What, those highway robbers, you know? So, you know, as you can imagine, there's quite a discrepancy in the difference between how much expenses, how much expenses have gone up. And how much the minimum wage has gone up with it. Oh, I just passed a cop. I wonder if I'm violating the law with distracted driving. I'm distracting everyone else. This is a nice neighborhood. We're going right along the Willamette River here in Oregon. I don't know if you can see that. You've probably just seen a blur. Anyway, the minimum wage has gone up about 5 times, whereas the expenses of everything else have gone up 10 to 20 times. So just using that index And the minimum wage was as high, was probably about as high as it was back then as it ever has been. I mean, in relation to the consumer price index, right? But even so, it's gone up only 5 times. Expenses, the Gumball, Gumball now is 25 cents, right? The Gumball's gone up 25 times. So expenses have gone up from 10 to 20 times. You know? And we had real money back then. You know, a dime was a silver dime, which is probably a silver dime now is worth what, $5? You know, so our money had intrinsic value as well. Money doesn't have any, well, except for nickels and pennies. Money doesn't really have much intrinsic value. It costs more to make a nickel or a penny than it's worth. Which is probably going to get, you know, a bunch of guys, you know, a bunch of meth addicts, you know, melting it down for the, you know, pawn it off or something. So, by the John Bennett Gumball Index, the minimum wage should be about $16.50 an hour. Now, you know, there's some demonstrations going on now for, you know, $15 an hour. I don't think that's enough. I sat down and I worked it out, you know, using a paper and pencil, what my expenses were. And I figured that really to get by, you need to make, or at least, and I did this years ago, quite a few years ago actually. You need to make $18 an hour to pay for things like cable, have some savings, you know, utilities, rent, and cheap rent. I had cheap rent back then. I was paying $400 a month when I was doing this. So I might have factored in a little bit more for that, but to pay for utilities and overhead, you know, my overhead, and save a little money, pay my taxes, do that sort of thing. $18 an hour. $18 an hour. And here people are demonstrating for $15 an hour. You know, and I'm telling you, I don't think that's $30,000 a year. That's not working full time. That's not. I don't think that's enough to really. That's not a. That's $18 an hour, or what would that be? What is that? 50. What's $18 an hour? 36,000 a year. Okay, I don't think that's enough to get by on. I mean, I know one family that makes well over $100,000 a year, and they're, you know, they come to the end of the month and they're having problems with cash right now. Right now, I have 1 penny in my pocket. When I went into Starbucks, all I had on me was $1.74, and a cup of blonde roast is $1.75, and you know, the point being, I'm not making a lot of money. I had to come back out of the car and I found 2 cents. So actually, I had found twice as much money as I needed. Twice as much money as I needed. So there you go. So I say raise the minimum wage, and I'd like to do another video on why this is good for everybody. But I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to cut this short. Thanks for watching my video, and tune in again sometime.